Welcome back, Spurs fans, to the Hepler football channel. Today we're doing our top 5 ponderings, where we're going to ponder upon whether Spurs can make it into European competition next season. So if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, support the channel, definitely would appreciate it. As we go through and you have any thoughts or comments, drop those down in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video, pound that like button. So we're going to get right into it. Last week, our predicted ponderings, all our analysis showed that the Spurs were going to finish 7th, based on that was prior to this past weekend's games. So now we're going to look at how things shook out after these past weekend games and matches, and Spurs got a win over Sheffield, so that's great. So Spurs currently have 4 matches left going into the rest of the season, 12 points available. Spurs jumped up to 6th place with the win over Sheffield United, putting them at 56 points, just above Liverpool, and we're sitting 2 points behind West Ham in 5th, and then 5 points behind Chelsea in 4th. So really the 4th and 5th spots are the two that we're really looking at, that we're fighting for. And our next match is going to be against Leeds United. So just a reminder on how I've done all this, what all I've done to come up with my numbers is I've broken the season down into quarters, 4 quarters. And the first 2 quarters are 9 matches each, and the last 2 quarters are 10 matches each. We're halfway through the 4th quarter right now. And I take a lot of stats and different things and crunch a bunch of numbers, and then I take that and apply it into an analytical process. And then I also look at what matches are remaining, not only for Spurs, but for what the teams that we're fighting against for that 4th and 5th spot. And then that's how I come up with the projected final for the points for each team. And then we're only looking at the teams that I felt a few months ago were in contention for this top 5 positioning. And I built in a margin of error of about 3 points. Okay, so in the last 5 matches, Spurs have collected 8 out of 15 points. Chelsea's one of those teams that we're chasing, and they've collected 10 out of 15 in their last 5. West Ham's another team that we're chasing. They've collected 9 out of 15, and Liverpool's collected 11 out of 15. So, for all the teams that we're needing to chase, we're doing better than we had been doing previously, but we're not quite up to speed with them. And so what's that do for us? As far as our 4th quarter projections, when we look at 4th quarter, and pardon me, I know looking off screens like taboo, but all my notes are up there, and there's too much for me to remember. So in last week's 4th quarter numbers, we were showing that we were starting to catch some of these other teams. The two that were really still pushing or pulling away from us, or at least keep maintaining a gap, was Chelsea and Liverpool. But as far as West Ham, we had closed the gap a little bit, and the real key number here that we look at is points per match. So, things weren't looking good for catching the teams, but there was a little bit of progress. So if we look at what happens to the numbers as of this week, you see that we're still gaining a little bit of ground on West Ham. Chelsea's kind of spread that gap again a little bit. It narrowed a little bit. And then, of course, Liverpool didn't play, so we're still working off of what they had last week. Leicester City, we're still catching them, but they're so far out there, I don't think that's an option. And so also what we look at a lot of times is the combined 3rd and 4th quarter stats, because that gives us a good idea of what we're doing over a long-term period, not just over a short snippet of 3 to 5 games. And when we look at those numbers, you see that prior to this week, Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester, they're all pretty consistently staying up there with the points per match. They're doing a very good job of that. So, that's what we've got to change. We got to collect a lot more points per match if we're wanting to catch these teams. And so when we look at what's happened since this past weekend, while we did improve, so did Chelsea, West Ham, and Leicester. They all won. I mean, when all the teams win, it's hard to catch. We need these teams to stumble a little bit. And so what does that do for our numbers? And how much does it get it closer to us comparatively to what we were looking at last week and what we would finish? And so when we look at the final projected standings based on everything through this past weekend's matches, we've closed the gap a little bit, but not enough. And remember, I built in a margin of about 3 points. So when you're looking at Chelsea and West Ham, and those are really, like I said, the two that we're chasing, we're 6 points difference. That's outside my margin of error. And so for us to be able to collect that, it's going to be pretty tough. And it's going to need a massive regression on one of their parts, if not both. For us, it's going to require both for us to make top 4. It's going to require one of them to pretty much heavily falter for us to get top 5. And you notice that they're tied, and those numbers closed the gap a little bit. And the only reason Chelsea's ahead of them is because goal differential. And you'll notice that we moved above Liverpool. They didn't play this past week. They have a game in hand on us. But at this point, based on the stats and us winning, that tells me that we're actually going to tie on points and nudge them out of 6th place because of goal differential. Now, this can all change because I actually have Liverpool losing against Man United. And that's one of the reasons that their numbers haven't moved and won't move until they actually play that match. So, that margin of error can actually push them above us, or it can push us above them even further. And you'll see that last week we were tied with Everton, but Everton lost to West Ham. So therefore, Aston Villa. And so therefore, we've moved ahead of them. And outside that margin of error at this point, they've got a pretty tough schedule left. So I don't feel that Everton's really a big threat to us. And just so you know, 4 matches left. To get this result, I have us going 2 wins, 0 draws, 2 losses. So that means we only collect another 6 points the remaining way. And that's not a great amount for us, but could I see us collecting 9? Yes. I just don't trust us, and the numbers don't tell me that that's something I can trust right now. So I definitely think we'll lose 1, probably 2 at the way that we've been playing. Not just over a short period of time, but over a long period of time. And I just don't think we'll collect 9 points. While every team that we play the remaining schedule, I think is someone we could beat. Maybe you can make an argument that Leicester's maybe not one that we'll beat. But the other 3 definitely are teams that we could beat. But I'm not going to say that we're definitely going to win. They're not gimmies. So let me know what you all think. Let me know if you think I'm way off base here. Mathematically, we're still in top 4 contention. But in reality, we aren't. I think our only spot to fight for really is that top number 5. 5 through 7 is what we're fighting for right now. But let me know what you all think. We got a run of matches coming up, like I said. Leeds United, Wolverhampton, Aston Villa, and Leicester. All winnable. Not likely that we're going to win them all based on recent and long-term run of form. But let me know what you all think. And come on, you Spurs.